Well, in other developments in Imo State, the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria have both declared an immediate and total strike in Imo State with effect from midnight today. At an extraordinary National Executive Council meeting, organised labour ordered a shutdown of electricity and fuel supplies to Imo State and directed aviation workers to ensure that flights into and out of the state are suspended. The strike has been declared as a response to the recent attack on the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, that's Joe Ajero, and other labour leaders by suspected agents of Imo State government. The labour bodies also resolved to declare a nationwide strike by Tuesday, November the 14th, if their demands are not met by then. Well, Arise News analyst Dayo Sobowale joins us now to address the key issues arising from this looming Labour government standoff in Imo State against the backdrop of the impending governorship election there. It's always great to have you on the program. Good afternoon and welcome.
It's a pleasure being here as usual.
Right, let's get straight into it. You know, we've gone through a week of debating whether or not organised labour in Imo State is getting politicized. Are we still able to separate organised labour from political developments given the state of things in Imo State right now?
Yeah, I'll go along with you, but put it differently. I'll say the dark clouds of industrial relations are looming over the politics in the three states facing elections on November 8th, especially Imo State. Now, with Imo State from midnight now, there will be strike there. Then November 14th, the entire country. If you look at the issues involved, you see that the action of labor is predictable and almost belated. Now, in the brief I had, the Petrol Tanker Drivers Association have said they will not take part in the NLC strike. That means a lot. But the important thing is that industrial relations and politics are on a collision course. And that is not good for the elections. It's not good for our political stability. And then what's the precursor of it? The removal of fuel subsidy has always been there with its pains, and to labor trying to tag along with government. But now this violence broke out in Imo State and they beat up the national president of the NLC. So you can expect labor to be indignant, angry. I will call it righteous indignation. Righteous indignation. It is unfortunate that it happened on the eve of an election. But then the authorities in Imo State should know that for them to have an election, they need a peaceful environment. But that has not been able to happen. Even yesterday, they said some elders who wanted to intervene when they said they should, journalists should not use their equipment. Those people ran away because they didn't want to be, messed up, like the labor leader was messed up. You see, I will take it from two angles. I will expect the labor strike to take off because they're angry tonight. The one of 14th will depend on so many things that happen between now and the election time. That is, if the election is able to go on in Imo State. Ceteris paribus. Because one cannot blame labor for the stand it has taken, like I said. But then, look at the scenario. You have a body, Petrol Tanker Drivers Association, belonging to Nupeng, saying that it disassociates itself and is aligning itself with the HOPE program of the new president. You see, that throws us back to June 12. During June 12, Nupeng was led there, I'm putting a personal touch now, by my senior at the Koboza School, Mushi, Frank Kokori. And they fought the military, in fact, they drove the military away, literally. Because if you do not have fuel to move, you paralyze the economy. It can happen. So if Nupeng is on collision course now, or on a different course from the NLC, I doubt if that strike will be very successful.
Well, Mr. Sobowale, what do you make of the NLC's demands? I'm sure you've read the newspaper and you know exactly what they are, but just in case anyone out there is not sure, it's the redeployment and the investigation of the Imo Commissioner of Police, the sack of the area commander, those that were involved in the fisticuffs with Joe Ajaero, and of course the arrest
many, and they are strong points. Strong points. It shows that the Imo State government, in my view, has not been taking care of the people in its custody. Salaries have not been paid, pension and gratuities have not been paid, workers have been described as ghost workers and all that. And in the midst of that, the strike, which is the right of those who are in dissent with the government of the day, I mean, they try to organize a strike and their national president got beaten up. It is not the best. You see, labor has legitimate demands, legitimate responsible demands. But you see, this happening on the eve of an election, you see, that perhaps made the governor to think maybe they are against him. But the election days were fixed before. They were fixed before. And all these demands, it's not the first time Labour is making these demands. They are legitimate demands. See, politicians, leaders are elected into government to fulfill the needs and yearnings of those who have put them there. They cannot ignore them once they get into power. And things should not deteriorate to a situation whereby a Labour leader is beaten up in broad daylight. You get me? So invariably, the peace of the election is in jeopardy, except now, but for the intervention of the Inspector General of Police, who has said they will remain neutral. And I appreciate the steps he has taken. He has redeployed, like Labour demanded, he has redeployed the police commissioner in Imo State, and he said it does not mean that he's guilty or not, but they will prove that further. He has even redeployed DIGs for each of the 3 states to make sure things work according to plan and that we have a peaceful election. But you see, I cannot ignore what petrol tanker drivers, people have done. You need to listen to themselves, that they are fed up with strikes, that it is Nigerians that suffer at the end of the day. You see, that's a key matter. You get me? It's not as if they are pro-government. You see, at the end of, you remember NUPENG, 1993, they were the people who suffered most. But they were the people who were most effective. Like I said, if people don't have fuel to move around, they can't go to work. But if now NLC, for example, in Imo State, say tanker drivers should not move, they close the airports and so on. If these people rescind, don't go along with that, the strike will not be very successful. But you see, Labour has legitimate grievance, legitimate provocation even. The way their leader has been messed up. And like I said, I will call it righteous indignation. But you see, they should be careful. They should be careful and make sure that things do not degenerate to violence, destruction of life and property, and that the election, all things being equal, is allowed to hold in a peaceful atmosphere.
And, just going back to the point of righteous indignation, if, of course it is their legal right to strike, to embark on a strike. Is it necessary to suck the whole country into this issue as they hope to do? Again, all things being equal on their side, they want this to evolve from just being an Imo State strike to a nationwide strike on the 14th of November. Is that what will get Joe Ajaero redress? Or should legal action be taken against the government of Imo State as they allege those are the people behind the events that took place? Concerning the brutalization of Joe Ajaero?
Look, the idea that they are sucking the entire country into it, I don't agree. I don't see it that way. It's not like that. Ajaero is a national president. If they mess him up, they mess up the entire country. That is simple and straightforward. But you see, we have some breathing space between tonight and November 14th. Hopefully, if things go well between now and 8th, and the election hold peacefully, then we can look forward to November 14th. But then we will cross the bridges when we get there.
So you don't. So no playing devil's advocate, no jumping the gun to see whether or not what kind of scenarios might play out in the next couple of days. No.
Cross the bridge. It's an unpredictable situation when we get there. So let's have some patience.
Okay, now the security situation, of course, as we saw, is continue to deteriorate in Imo State. We also saw, before we took the story about the strike, we saw the breakdown in the meeting that was supposed to hold a peace. It was supposed to be a peace agreement with the various parties involved in Imo State. At the moment, given all the various pieces of this puzzle, so many moving pieces, what is your take on November 11th as we count down to Saturday? Are you optimistic about how things will turn out towards the election? And especially concerning the declaration by Professor Mahmoud Yakubu that votes from polling units where there's violence will not be counted. How will all of these factors play out
See, that is a deterrence against violence. That if you want your vote to be counted, and if you want meaningful change, or if you want the elongation of the government of the day, do not indulge in violence. It's not a novelty. The last election, so many votes were discounted, you get me, cancelled because of violence. So that is still looking up to a peaceful election. And you see, the police is the main garant of peace, the way I see it. The police seems undeterred by the seeming uncertainty on the ground and the threat of violence. They are mobilized. They are trained to do that. Get me? So let us wait and take it one at a time. By tomorrow, we'll know how far Imo State has fallen under the command of the NLC and what is going on. We'll be able to see how the road petrol tanker drivers, how they are able to cope with the situation in Imo State. Get me? Then from thereafter, we know how we go into the election.
Well said, Mr. Sobowale.
Okay, one thing that we said the other time was that the police presence should not deter people from going.
Right. Well, Mr. Sobowale, well said. We'll wait for the next episode of this Imo saga.